Ilia Topuria defeated Charles Oliveira at UFC 317 to become the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, making him a two-division champion, once in featherweight and then once in the lightweight division. And now this man is posed with difficult decisions, and matchmakers are also posed with difficult decisions on who he'll fight next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the matchups that make the least amount of sense and then the most amount of sense in that order for Ilia Topuria. And I have the guys hidden around the screen right here. And let's get into it with the matchup that I think makes the least amount of sense right now. It's Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Now, Islam is not a champion, despite what you see in this picture where you see the belt. Islam still hasn't fought for the welterweight championship just yet, so he will be waiting on a fight against Jack Della Maddalena. We don't know what time that's going to be. We don't know what his schedule is going to look like. And Ilia is, he's just coming off of a win against Charles Oliveira. This matchup right here just doesn't make sense right now, even though it's the most intriguing matchup, but this is the matchup that we all want to see, right? I think Islam poses a real threat to Ilia, but I also think Ilia poses a real threat to Islam's dominance that he's had. And I really do believe that if I'm making a prediction for this fight, I think Ilia would knock out Islam Makhachev. But hey, that's just my prediction. That's just my opinion. But for me, it looks pretty likely. And just because Islam still hasn't fought at welterweight yet, this fight just does not make sense, even though it's one of the biggest fights that you could possibly make right now. And then the second matchup that makes the most sense, it's Armen Saryuki, right? Armen could not make weight in the other. He was supposed to fight for the vacant title, and he just couldn't make weight. He was supposed to fight for it, just could not make weight. That was the reports that Dana finally kind of validated. We thought it was like a back injury or something of that nature. But this matchup makes the second most amount of sense, and I'll tell you why. You don't want to give Ilia a matchup just off of the fact that he ruined an entire event, right? You don't want to reward that kind of behavior. But also, who else is going to fight Ilia? Who else is there, right? You got some other guys in that division who maybe make them more sense, right? But I think Ilia smokes them all, right? And Armen poses a decent challenge, right, to Ilia, even though I think Ilia, wins a lot of these matchups. And Armen was supposed to fight for the vacant title anyway. So do they reward that kind of behavior? I don't think so, but this is also a matchup that makes a lot of sense that people are calling for, and I also think makes a lot of sense. Now, time for the grand reveal. Dun, 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 dun. It's Paddy Pimblett. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. Why would Paddy get a title shot? Why does it make the most sense? For me, this matchup makes the most amount of sense because it has the makings of selling a lot of pay-per-views, right? The UFC still cares about that. I think so. And I get it, Paddy. There's been rumors that he's going to fight Justin Gaethje. That's cool. But I think he beats the brakes off of Justin Gaethje, respectfully. So I don't see Justin Gaethje getting in the way of an Ilia matchup between both of these guys. And I think that this is the more intriguing of all the matchups that Ilia could face right now in the lightweight division. I think Ilia smokes all of them, but Paddy, I think, poses a real dangerous threat to what Ilia got going on just because of his grapple game and just because of his submission game as well, right? I think Paddy's not a dumb fighter. I don't think Paddy is going to look at Ilia and say, oh, yeah, let me just strike with him and just go into range of his power punches, right? I think Paddy's going to play it smart. He's going to kick at range. He's going to throw out long attacks like a teep up the middle, head kicks, side kicks, leg kicks, a long jab, a long two, right? Keep everything long and keep circling so that Ilia cannot keep you where he wants you, which is in his distance, right? And then shoot a lot of takedowns. I think Paddy will turn into a wrestler real quick and shoot a lot of takedowns. And also, these guys had beef. They had some beef. Called him hand sanitizer boy because they threw a hand sanitizer bottle at somebody. And these guys didn't like each other. And I don't think they do like each other. I think they're like, you know, they apologize to each other and like they're like kind of cool now, but you could see this animosity coming to fruition if Paddy Pimblett was to get a title shot. And I also think that Ilia would have a more so of a difficult time trying to get to Paddy because of his height, right? That's why the Islam matchup for me, right, is a bit tricky because if Islam, he just has that natural height and reach, so he's able to kind of keep Ilia at bay for the most part and strike with him, because he's not going to be trying to engage with him on the same level that he's trying to engage with you, right? So, personally for me, if I was a matchmaker, I'm making this fight immediately with Paddy and Ilia, right? That's just me. I know it may not make the most sense, right, rankings-wise, but for me, this is the most intriguing matchup that I can think of. I mean, Ilia smokes Gaethje, Ilia smokes Armen. Who else is even in contention for a title shot, right? Nobody. It's just Paddy, right? So I really do believe that Paddy Pimblett, I think he'll lose against Ilia, but I do think he has the best chance at beating Ilia other than Armen, other than Islam, other than Justin Gaethje. I think he has a way better chance at beating those guys, at beating Ilia, than a lot of those other faces that I just mentioned. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Get Back with Lewis. Talking about Ilia Topuria. I mean, Ilia is dominant, right? He's going to be a champion for a very long time. If he, faces another lightweight contender and beats them again, we're talking about GOAT conversations with this kid. So shout out to Ilia. Continued success for him, and I also would like to see this matchup. This is my most intriguing matchup. I would be so hyped for this matchup, not just because of the fight itself, but also because of the shenanigans that they'll both pull in the pre-fight. And the press conferences is going to go crazy, and these guys are just going to have fun with it. And the fight, I think, is going to be very entertaining. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, take care. Peace.